wants to throw it to Sewell. He caught it. He's Sewell on a first down. Oh, yes. The big man dives down the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful. Fields looking, pressured, hit from behind, take it down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
No respect.
So, we look like we're ready. This is day one.
No respect.
Hey, Andy, what did I say all last week?
No respect.
Damn right. Victory Sunday.
No respect.
Lions win at SoFi. Huge victory. Congratulations to Dan Campbell for making the right calls at the end. Man, that was some gutsy stuff. What was going through your mind, Andy, when, there's 2 minutes left again, 3 timeouts. We got the ball. It's third down. Now it's fourth down. And you see us going for it, not taking the points.
Well, I'll be honest, Will. I actually initially was not very happy with it because exactly that point. I'm like, just take the points. They're right there. You've got the win. However, I could see the reasoning for being as aggressive as you were. The Chargers had no timeouts left. And you get the first down, you take the knee, you bleed that clock down, and that way you get the field goal, which we did. We secure the win. I was, for lack of a better way of putting it, I was puckered up when I saw the call. I didn't – let's put it this way. I went from having a borderline coronary until I saw Laporta come up with the big grab to secure the first down, and I proceeded to work on my next coronary when we were getting ready to kick the game-winning field goal.
Which he narrowly made, by the way. Narrowly tucked it inside the upright.
Yeah. So, I mean, just real quick, let's put it this way. That first down that we got from Laporta, I was on the couch, kind of in like this mode, doing this.
Right. Yeah.
And then when we were getting ready to kick the field goal, I was on my feet, also like this. And
it's funny because during the game, someone on the Facebook group said, is everybody else's dog hiding under the bed right now because of all the yelling going on in the house?
Oh my God.
And I just thought it was hilarious, right? So
yeah.
I could only imagine in the last couple of minutes, everyone's dog's running for cover because it was just an insane 120 seconds that still had to come off that clock, and we needed more points.
Yeah.
So before I get too deep off into it, first, I'd love to welcome everybody into Rock Down Detroit Lions post-game live viral reaction. So tonight, the phone lines will be open. I guess I should probably plug my phone in for that to happen, right? And I'll let you know when we're ready to start taking some phone calls. I want to get through some stats and some stuff and a few things. But we want to hear from you guys. This show is all about the fans. So tonight is all about you. I'm sure a lot of you are feeling great. The Lions are 7-2. We could still control our own destiny, and we have a long way to go. Man, it feels good. Like, I don't know if my blood pressure and my heart rate has even come down yet. It's been one of those days. I did not expect this game to go the way that it did.
I told you.
I still had no respect for the Chargers, but apparently they had
No respect.
for our defense, and that is a problem. But before we go into it, welcome in, Andy. What do you want to tell the Lions fans right off the get-go? And then I'm going to jump into some keys to the Lions win.
Well, one pride, everyone. Go Lions. We got it. We're 7-2. Top of the NFC North still. Things are looking good. But what I want to say, and I don't mean to sound the pessimist, Will, I told you I had a feeling about this game. I know we won, but I just remember I said it on Friday. The Chargers can be a feisty team, and it was a tale of two teams. I was expecting it to be either the Chargers were going to come out the whole game and dominate, or the Lions were going to come out the whole game and dominate. Well, you saw a tale of two teams in both halves. I thought the Lions controlled and played the game very well in the first half. And the second half, I just saw a complete collapse in our defense. Will, I'm going to throw it on you real quick. What is the magic number defensively that you say we have to stay at?
It's always 20. Always.
And how many points did the defense allow tonight?
Too many.
Okay, so
and did we almost lost this game because of it? And you know what this was shaping up to be is just like the Seattle game, right?
That's exactly what I was expecting.
You can score and score and score, but you can't stop the other side. Today was a loss all the way in the second half until the Lions did what they had to do, which was the keys to the game.
Exactly.
I popped up this one. Today is the reason why I don't truly believe in Brad Holmes yet. Could have had Chase Young or somebody, but nope, no sacks. And I'm going to come back to the no sacks comment, but that was Demigod 313. Thank you for jumping into Rock Down Detroit Lions tonight. Appreciate the comment. Jay Smitty says, sigh, W. Hey, at least we got the W. That's all that matters, right?
I agree.
So look, the Lions win. And this is how they won, in my opinion. Number one, O-line. Oh my God, offensive line. Incredible job today. And if you don't remember from the pregame show, my pregame notes were very simple. Penei Sewell versus Bosa. Taylor Decker versus Mack. Quick passing game. Get some of the yak routes running. You know, we want to see more routes where the guys are able to build yak yards. Establish that run early, stick with it. Don't abandon it. When it's working, keep it working. Laporta, I wanted to see him get acclimated and going early. For whatever reason, they abandoned Laporta for the most of the day today. I mean, almost the entire game. He did come up in a couple of clutch, areas. And then a clean game. Those are my 6 points for the Lions offense. To have a clean offensive game, meaning no penalties, no turnovers, no sacks. So the no sacks comment by Demigod, I'm sure he's talking about the Lions defense, but our offense also didn't give up any sacks today. And that's one of the main reasons why the Lions won. The biggest reasons why is because of Penei Sewell and Taylor Decker, and the game that they played today was almost flawless.
It was phenomenal.
Besides Taylor Decker's penalty early in the game, first drive, touchdown to J-Mo. Second time this has happened to J-Mo, where Decker gets a penalty negating a touchdown. So that one hurt. It hurt J-Mo, but my question is, what the hell happened to J-Mo after that? I couldn't pay attention to every replay or every scenario because I was involved in all this stuff, but if someone knows, I mean, did J-Mo just get tucked on the sideline for a reason? Did he do what he did in the Green Bay game last season and jump up and down and get in the coaches' faces because Decker had a penalty that negated a touchdown? I don't know. I'm not saying that happened. I'm just wondering. I'm fishing here for answers. So the second key to the Lions win today, power running game. I mean, my goodness, we almost had 2 running backs go for 100 plus each. Gibbs didn't get going really in the second half, and that's okay. Collectively, they almost put up 200 yards on the ground. Third point, Goff's arm. And we'll touch on all these individually. Goff put up 333 yards through the air today. Insane day. Probably the biggest point that I'm going to make is no turnovers. This was 1 turnover away from a loss today. And that's because our defense couldn't get turnovers, even though Cam Sutton missed one. And our defense couldn't get sacks, and they really couldn't get a ton of pressure. Ben Johnson's play calling is my 5th point. Man, he really mixed it up in the first half. Almost to the point where I don't know if I even saw the same play run probably the entire first half. It was that good. The other big thing is look, no sacks for the Lions or the Chargers today, and we'll talk more about all this as we go. My pregame notes for the Lions' keys on defense was stopping the run. They did that. Herbert's legs, can't let him extend plays. Well, he kind of did that. Pressures must equal wins. They failed. They got some pressure. They didn't win. And then stopping the only wide receiver that they had on this team that was really dangerous was Keenan Allen. He went for 175 yards today. And I think he missed a third of the game in the locker room. That can't happen. The one guy that I think we all forgot about was Quentin Johnston. And he's somebody that is going to be great in this league once he gets a little bit more time underneath him. So that's the start of the show. Now let's get to some chats. What does everybody got to say about this win, Andy?
No, I'll tell you right now, we got A lot of comments here. Got Demigod 313. I love that O-line. Also, them two-headed monsters and Gibbs and Monty is something special. I 100% agree. Gibbs and Monty combined had 193 yards. They were just short of 200 yards, just short. Monty with the 1 touchdown, Gibbs with 2 touchdowns, and of course, we can't forget Montgomery with that beautiful 75-yard sprint to the finish line. That was one of the highlights of the game for me.
Was he out?
No, he was not out. He was just they showed that replay, and when you looked at his right foot, you could just barely see a little bit of green. It was close. He tight-roped it. There's no doubt about it.
I didn't think he was out of there. I thought there was no way they could overturn it after calling it a TD.
No,
but that's as close as it gets, man. And that guy, Bonnie, the vision, right, and his awareness, exceptional. He was looking the other direction and not even, looking at the sideline while he painted it the whole way down. Keep on going. Here we go.
Yeah, gotcha. Got Brent saying they were supposed to be good against the run. We had 28 rushes and 132 yards. Yeah, that run defense was not very impressive today. That's one of my.
Oh, hold on a second, Brent. We're talking about who? They were supposed to be good against the run. Are you talking about the Lions? Because the Lions almost had 200 yards on the ground.
Brent, maybe if you could clarify that comment. I'm sorry, buddy.
Let me back up here. The Chargers had they didn't even have 100 yards on the ground. So I'm a little confused by that. As a team, Detroit put up 200 on the ground as a team.
Yes.
But just Montgomery and Gibbs alone was 193, I think you said.
Yeah, it was 193 total between the two of them, just shy of 200.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a game they have. Let me get a few more in here, Will. We got Whiskey Neat. Thanks for coming in. Defense is concerning. Now I'm really questioning them not addressing it. Free agent trade deadline. Whiskey, I got to tell you, Will and I went through this at one of our shows, and I can tell you right now, that was one of my biggest concerns as to why we didn't address the D-line. I wanted to give it a chance to maybe see if there was some method to that madness, but yeah, we should have gotten someone on the interior again, but we didn't, and now we got to make do with what we have. Get another one in here. Mike P, welcome in. Neither did Joey or Matt get sacks, and they were supposed to be great edge rushers, so it was an advantage. You know what? This was one of Will's keys, and this was actually one of my keys too. That offensive line, you didn't see or hear anything about Khalil Mack or Joey Bosa. That O-line did exactly what they needed to do against those two, because those two are the biggest threats on that defense. That was unbelievable way they neutralized those two.
Hey, hold up real quick. I just saw something in Demigod, and I want to touch on this because you just got rid of it.
Oh, sorry.
I got it.
Okay.
So he says, I think the Chargers need to be investigated. They kept taking Allen out and sneaking him in after an injury concern. And I noticed this too. And I know that he had a shoulder injury. At least that's what was speculated during the game. I don't think he had a head injury. I don't know the full rules. Like if you have, look, quarterbacks play injured all the time and they stay in the game. I think the only reason why you have to come out is if it's a head related injury or spinal related injury. But I think this is a good point to bring up. They used Allen straight up as a decoy, knowing that he was hurt, brought him in, and they got that touchdown. I believe it was to the tight end or something where we have 8 plays inside the 5-yard line that we held the Chargers up.
Yep.
We had 2 4th and goals, and the Lions, I thought, oh my God, they're going to make this huge goal line stand, and they have to do it again after the pass interference. I think it was pass interference or defensive holding on Cam.
It was pass interference on Sutton.
Yeah, and so they snuck Allen in right there on that 4th down where everybody thought they were going to run it, and they passed it. I believe it was to the tight end or it was Johnston. I think maybe one of those two. I think it was Johnston, actually. So, yeah, good point. And I guess we'll find out later, what's going on with Allen. If it was a head injury, man, that would be bad. That would be really bad for the Chargers.
Yeah, that seemed a little fishy to me. I agree. I noticed that too. I said, how can you guys keep taking this guy out and then put him right back in if he's – I do know the play that we're referring to because he did get up and he was clutching his shoulder. I do remember that play.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was kind of – something was kind of dirty in Denmark with that one. So I couldn't agree more with Demigod. That's a very good point.
All right, so quick stat analysis here. So I'll run down the list. Jared Goff, 23 of 33, 333 yards on the day, 2 touchdowns by air, no interceptions, no fumbles, no sacks. Incredible day by Goff. He just played on a different level today. He got to his checkdowns quickly. He found the open man wherever it was. He made the right reads. There was a couple of bad passes. I'm not going to say he had the cleanest day. I want to say that I counted at least 3 questionable throws that were either dangerous or passes that he probably would love to, have taken back. But be that as it may, I mean, he did get some pressure today, and he dealt with it, in a good way. David Montgomery, 12 carries, 116 yards. Anybody can do quick math on that? How many yards a carry that is?
9.7 yards average.
Is it 9.7?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, Will.
Yep. And then you got Jahmyr Gibbs, 14 for 77, 2 TDs. Montgomery had 1. Montgomery's long was 75, and Gibbs' long was 35. It felt like Gibbs ran longer than that today, didn't it?
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, he had another great game. He did.
It felt like he had a lot more yards than he did.
Yep.
Amon-Ra got the 2 carries for 9 yards, and Jared Goff he got a couple rushes only because he was evading the rush, but minus 2 yards for the giraffe. All right, Detroit receiving. Amon-Ra, incredible game, man. 8 receptions, 156, 1 TD, 46 was his long on 9 targets. Now his counterpart, Keenan Allen, 14 targets, 11 receptions for 175 and 2 TDs. So, I mean, Amon-Ra had the better game when you look at, yards per carry or yards per catch. But Keenan Allen just played on another level today that I can't understand. This one I just can't understand this defense. Why do you let one guy gash you all day long? And I guess when you look at the stats, I mean, they're almost mirror images. And someone put that in one of our comments.
I'll get to it right now.
Yeah, that the teams kind of mirrored themselves. And they really did. I mean, Amon-Ra, look, 156. Keenan Allen, 175. Khalif Raymond, 46. Austin Eckler, 48. Sam Laporta, 40. I didn't even realize he got 40 today. Guyton, 41. Jahmyr Gibbs, 35. Quentin Johnston, 34. Brock Wright, 23. Donald Partham, 18. And the list goes on. Jameson Williams, I better mention his name, 18, 2 catches. Josh Reynolds, 15 on 2 catches. I mean, just so kind of a mirror image type of game today. And it didn't, to me, it didn't seem like it would end this way when the Lions got out to such a commanding lead and they were really doing what they wanted and were just picking everybody apart.
No respect.
And that Will gave them no respect whatsoever in this game.
0.
And I thought, you know what? Lions are going to dominate. They're really going to beat this team at least 34-17. And then the second half happened. And the start to the third quarter, again, the Lions come out flat. And that's where I'm going to leave it. Let's go to the chat. What does everybody got to say?
Yeah, let me keep going here. Thanks, guys, everyone who's joined us. A lot of comments to go through, so I will get through as much as I can. Let me just put it back up again. Ludell Wesley, sorry if I got your first name incorrect. Welcome in. The teams mirror each other. Well, you hear what Will had to say and the stats I'm looking at. Yeah, this game was very carbon copy of each side. It's kind of almost scary how much they were mirror images of each other. Joe Patrick, welcome in. Thanks for joining us. Defense is horrible today, but awesome O-line and key coaching decisions with amazing offense got us a big win. I agree. I've everyone forgive me in the beginning of the show. I know I was being kind of negative Nancy about it. I just didn't expect the defense to collapse in the way that they did. And I agree. This is one of those games I saw that defense and said, this reminds me a little bit of the first half of last season. I don't want to go backwards and start playing that game, but it kind of freaked me out because I just don't think – I think our defense is better than this, and I think that's what bothers me. And I didn't agree with some of the coverages. I didn't agree with the way we were leaving Keenan Allen open all night. It just really bothered me. Sorry about that. I'll keep going here. Mike Miller, one of our big listeners. Welcome in, Mike. Gibbs haters, turn your fan cards in. Tired of the Gibbs JMO hate? Give these kids a chance, not a sprint, a marathon.
You know, here's the thing that just came to mind. None of us expected a shootout today. None of us.
No.
But the one thing that we have going for us right now that started, really with the Raiders game because of Gibbs, was this is a really tough game when you look at the totality of it all, right? But it just goes to show you right now just how electric we really are on the offensive side of the ball and how we're really never going to be out of a game if we stay healthy. This is the healthiest this team has been in a long time. If we can stay healthy for the rest of the season, this offense is going to be a top offense in the league, if not the best offense in the league. If we can produce like this and with some of the teams that we're, matched up with the rest of the way, there's no reason why we can't win out. And I'm going to put that out there now. There's no reason why we can't win out. I don't see one team that can hurt us. That's all I had to say. You can keep going with the chat.
Except for the Cowboys. That's the only one that still worries me, but we'll get
I'm
to
not
that
even worried about them. I'll tell you right now.
No respect.
I got none for the Cowgirls.
I'm going to kindly ask you to stop doing no respect. I don't want you jinxing it, Will. No, you do your thing, brother. I'm just messing with you. You got Mike Miller, not mad at our defense. Chargers were getting hot, just no pressure was suspect. Yeah, I'm pissed off at our defense. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm furious. Yeah,
I'm not happy with it. I mean, the Chargers offense, they might have gotten hot, but they got hot because our defense collapsed. Again, this is just two guys here talking football, commenting what we saw. You left Keenan Allen open too many times, and he burned you every time. Every time. That was my biggest key. If this would have been a loss, that would have been my key to the loss tonight, was the fact that you let Keenan Allen torch you on defense.
So we don't have all of the stats, after the game. Like I don't have all of the advanced stats and, all the next gen stuff I'm sure is there, but I'm going to rewrap all of this up in a nice little bow, probably in a couple of days, and do another show or a video or something where I want to take a look at our secondary and what happened today, because Cam Sutton played a very bad game. And what really is blowing me away with that is he has played so well this whole season. You never even noticed Cam Sutton on the field. Either he wasn't getting targeted because the quarterbacks were afraid to throw his way, or he was playing so well that he really wasn't part of the game plan. If that makes sense. So
I know what you mean. Today,
he gets picked on, and he got picked on in a bad way. But I'm wondering if it was all him, and it was how much of Jerry Jacobs was involved in this, because it seemed like for whatever reason, Allen was way too open, way too often in areas that he shouldn't have been. Especially running a too deep shell. Like, I don't know why the Lions did that today for a lot of the game. And I'll have to go back and watch the all 22 and really break it down. But from a Cliff Notes perspective and the few plays that I was really able to rewatch a couple of times, I had a couple of screens going, watching different views. It seemed like we were stuck in a deep shell most of the game and we were getting eaten up underneath. And they've got to fix that, because when it hits playoff time, we're not going to be able to beat the other teams like we are today by just barely hanging in there. Got to shut them down.
Will, it's funny you bring that up. Jerry Jacobs, he's kind of, this may seem like a weird analogy, but I was thinking about this during the game. This season, he's kind of reminding me of how our lives as Lions fans have been. We've had, hear me out, and call me crazy, call me kooky, call me wacky, whatever. But the Lions have put us down a path a lot of seasons where we look like we have promise just to get let down. We get let down just to look like we have some promise. It's been very back and forth. Jerry Jacobs this year, it's been kind of eerily similar. He's had a couple games where it's like, all right, maybe he's just not as bad as we think he is. And then he has a game like today where I go, yeah, this guy sucks. It's just very, it's very confusing and conflicting for me.
I can tell you this. I can tell you here. Look, man, the Lions got lucky today, and they got lucky because Herbert missed at least 4 or 5 balls that should have been caught. If he would have put it in the in the breadbasket, and those would have been big plays, if not more touchdowns. Austin Eckler dropped balls again today, and if those two things don't happen, this is a much different ball game. So for whatever reason, they got lucky. I'll take the luck. I'll take the W. We needed it. This was a big game. And oh, by the way, the biggest key to today's game, really, honestly, is that the Lions checked the box for in-common opponents for tiebreakers with the Vikings. Mm-hmm. So that now means the Lions own one of the tiebreakers against the Vikings if, per se, we finish tied. Overall records were tied. And then it goes to head-to-head record, and we're tied. The Lions own the in-common opponent element to tiebreakers. So the first part of the playoffs has now been checked. The second part of the playoffs is keep winning. I don't want to get into tiebreakers. That hurt us last season.
That killed us last year.
I don't want to see it happen again. So the Lions, look, one of the biggest keys to Dan Campbell's game and Ben Johnson both, what they said during the bye week was they wanted to fix this third quarter sluggishness and slow starts. The Lions win the coin toss. They deferred and wanted to take the ball in the second half. And I'm almost wondering if that's a good choice until they really get this third quarter stuff fixed, because they came out flat again. And, as the Lions opening drive came and went, another 3 and out before they had a personal foul penalty on the Chargers that kind of kept the drive alive.
Yep, that one.
So look, the Lions didn't do anything with that gift of a penalty. Even though they got inside the 35-yard line, a negative play put them back behind the sticks, and eventually the Lions opted to punt rather than to try the 55-yard field goal, which I would have definitely said it was a good choice. I'm glad we didn't go for it, and I'm glad we didn't try to kick the field goal there. I think it was a great choice. So, man, but the ensuing play, Jerry Jacobs gets us in trouble. He gets out of a pass interference call, and the Chargers are on their way to score. Look, there was a lot of big plays in this game. What do the fans got to say about it?
Well, let's keep going real quick. Brent DeWitt, Chargers last score. How do you not double Keenan Allen when he's been burning you all game? Did I not just bring this up a little bit earlier? Brent, thank you very much. That was probably, I'll tell you right now, forget about the defense as a whole, how bad they played. Where were we with Keenan Allen? I mean, Keenan Allen, forget the fact that he's just an unbelievable wide receiver. That to me, leaving him open the way they were, that was the equivalent of when teams would leave Calvin Johnson open the way they did until they figured out you got to double team the guy. I don't understand why Aaron Glenn didn't make any adjustments to take Keenan Allen into the equation. That's probably the thing. You know what? There's my key to the game that made Andy insane, was that we just kept letting Keenan Allen run all over us. I couldn't take it. It was driving me nuts. Anyway.
All right, phone lines are open. I just put the number in the chat. And when you guys do call in, I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to take the call offline. We'll bring you in, and then we'll bring you into the show as soon as we get to a good point. It usually only takes 60 seconds or so. So if you'd like to call in and join Rock Down Detroit Lions tonight on talking about this Lions victory, you can call 313-312-0348. We're going to take as many phone calls as we can over the next hour. And let's talk some Lions football. If I happen to miss it, if I don't see it for some reason, just call back. But I got it right in front of me. So I'm going to run down a few plays here. And I'm going to start with the second half, because I already did the first half. I did a first half update today, first one ever. I thought it went pretty well. We'll keep doing it for the rest of the season. Hey, look at that. We got a call already, so I'm going to take this off the air, Andy.
Gotcha. I'll go through some more comments real quick that I didn't get to. Demigod 313. Again, thank you for all your great comments, the interaction. I'm going to give Sutton a pass because Glenn didn't adjust at all, and Chargers had Allen running a lot of cross and slant routes too. then they would hit us with the vertical pass. I got to agree with you on that one. Will said it best. Sutton, he's been the quiet guy playing great games. I got to give him one pass as well, because even a great player is going to have an off day, and he definitely had an off day. So 100% demigod, I agree with you on that one. Ron
right.
T. Oh, okay. Go ahead, Will.
Okay, so I've got Jimmy on the line. Of course, Jimmy's a Lions fan. Jimmy, can you hear us?
Yeah.
All right, Jimmy. So Lions win 41-38 today. What were your keys to the game today?
Amon-Ra, St. Brown stepped up. Both of our running backs really looked really good. Jared Goff looked good. The defense, man, what are they going to do? I mean, I'm kind of worried about the playoffs. We get the playoffs, you can't play that crappy defense.
Well, yeah, exactly. If you get into the playoffs, you're going to be going up against offenses that are as powerful as the Chargers, if not more. And they're going to come with a defense that's going to, give our offense a headache. So you're exactly right. What would you do to fix the defense this late in the game right now? We're past the trade deadline. Would you bring somebody off the street?
I would bring in Ndamukong Suh or Jason Pierre-Paul.
I like it.
Both, if you could.
I like it. So JPP's name's been flying around quite a bit. I think it would be an interesting fit, but I think I would much rather see Sue come back, only because he has history, with the team already. So what else did you like about today's game? If you were to hand out a game ball today and you could only give one out, who would it be to?
I would have to go with David Montgomery, I guess.
Yeah, he had an excellent game today. He came up big throughout this game. That
75 to the house, man, that was something.
We haven't seen anything like that in a while. It's been a while.
Yeah, that was pretty. Yeah.
Well, Jimmy, we thank you for calling in and joining Rock Down Detroit Lions tonight. We'll be doing more live shows next week, and we appreciate you, joining us and being part of the show tonight.
I'll watch the show. Yep.
All right, thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Have a good night. Bye-bye.
Right.
Well, you heard it from Jimmy. David Montgomery gets the game ball, and our defense has issues. And he thinks that we need to bring in Jason Pierre-Paul or Ndamukong Suh. Andy, what do you say about that?
I wouldn't be against it. I would. Sue wouldn't be bad. He was a fan favorite. Amazing, excellent player. Jason Pierre-Paul, I think he's still got some gas in the tank. We touched on that on Friday during the show. I know people had thrown his name out there. I say you bring in either one of them. I wouldn't be against it at this point because this defense just needs help. It's making me a little nervous. Will, you made a very good point. If we're playing like this and we get to the playoffs and say we got to play the Eagles right out of the gate, or maybe the Niners, all these teams that have this great offense, that's a scary prospect right there. Extremely scary.
All right, Demigod 313 says the game ball goes to the O-line. I like that one too, man.
Yeah.
That really that was a really good move by AG a couple weeks ago when Dan Campbell gave him the game ball and he gave it out to was it Sutton and Jacobs. Did he take the ball back from him today?
I hope so.
My goodness.
I know. And Will, damn it. I'm sorry. I'm not as optimistic about this. I think it's just because I'm just being forward thinking about. Yes, I'm glad we're 7-2. I'm glad we got the W. It was a nail biter. It was a you know what puckerer type of game. But I can't see. We can't have games like that all the time. I mean, maybe a casual fan might say, "Oh my God, look at this! It's awesome!" But fans like us, for wanting to see our team come the distance that we're trying to go, these aren't games we need. We need games that are, and I'm not saying we need blowout games all the time, but we need games that are cleaner, good defense, maybe tighter scoring, like 10-point type of wins. I'm sorry. I'm a little stressed out.
No, I feel you on this. The thing is, for me, is this is a game we normally lose. So if we're going to give the Lions their attaboys today and really give this team their flowers, this is a game they hung in and won, even though they should have wrapped it up earlier. This is a game that they lose. And maybe that's a change in this dynamic of a team that maybe we're going to see these tighter shootout type of games go our way. And if that's the case, I'm good with it. I just don't want to see these heart pounding types of games in the playoffs, even though they make excellent TV. They don't make for an excellent day as a fan of any team when it's going down to the wire. So I want to talk about the Lions' third quarter opening drive drama. And here's the plays from their first drive in the second half, or at least my notes. So Lions' first drive went 8 plays, 38 yards, and a punt. They had a slow start, couple of bad passes, and a drop by Reynolds. Then they had a big penalty on Derwin James that kept the play alive. Then Gibbs ran for 3. Then they had a nice play action to Amon-Ra for 15. And then it's first down, and Gibbs gets bottled up for a loss of 3 on a DB blitz, which is something that I'm still wondering when we're going to use. And then the second down, get a drop by Raymond. Third down, the Lions are now 0-6 on third down the entire day. Terrible read, dangerous throw by Goff, and now it's fourth down. We punt it back to the Chargers, bury him inside the 9-yard line. So yet another slow start, no start on their opening drive of the third quarter. They had 2 weeks to fix this, and they did nothing, apparently. So my question to the fans right now is, what is it going to take to fix it? Like, what do we have to do differently? What's not working? I guess I could go back and look at, all 9 games, opening drives, and see what plays we're running. Maybe that would make a good video, and see what our Achilles heel is. I almost feel like it's in their head now. You know how that goes.
Yep.
Like when it's in your head, it's hard to get out. I don't think clearly it's not a thing about skill, right? Or the ability to do it. They can. They did it all game long except for one drive. So I don't know. Something's got to get fixed.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's get a couple comments in real quick, Will. We got Suzanne Osborne, welcome in. Secondary needs to tighten up. Too many holes in the zone. I couldn't agree more. I really hope we get CD Deuce back soon. He's supposed to be back soon. He's dropping his little, his little cloak and dagger type of hints. I really hope he comes back. Demigod 313. Also, why didn't Martin play today? And who do Lions release in the offseason on that D line to bring in help? Oof. Halfway point of the season. Yeah.
Martin was a healthy scratch today, but here's what I'm going to say about him. I looked at his tape yesterday, matter of fact. I got on the phone today with Derek over at Lions Syndicate. We went over the tape. We looked at his snaps, and I wanted to kind of give my 2 cents on Martin. And when Martin was in, we didn't really have any big plays on defense. We didn't get any sacks. We hardly got any pressures. Matter of fact, I don't even think we got one through all 10 or 11 snaps that he was in. Martin got thrown around like a rag doll a few times. He got used and abused on a few plays where the Raiders were able to run around him and get gains on the ground. There was, I believe he had one tackle against Jacobs, but that was more of a kind of landed in his lap kind of tackle. So I was not impressed by his tape. And I think that he got pulled out of the Raiders game. This was the second series, I think the Raiders, second or third series. After that, he wasn't in the rest of the game. So maybe they saw what they saw in the Raiders game. They wanted to get some guys, some rest, and maybe he's not ready. He's got a long way to go. He looked very slow off the ball. He was getting zero pop with his hands. Zero pop. It's almost like that when he just stood up and went like this. That's all he did was stand up. He didn't pop. You know what I mean? He didn't pop somebody in the chest. And that's what we want to see on the defensive line is you want to see vicious attack, with the hands. And you got to be vicious with your hands to be able to get around the offensive lineman. I just didn't see any of that out of Martin. So there you go. There's my 2-minute rundown of Martin so far into the season and probably why he was out today.
100% agree. David Petrak, would you put this defensive nightmare on AG or the lack of talent up front or both?
You want to take that one, Andy, or you want me to take it?
I got to put this on. I got to put it on both because I just it was another one of those games where I didn't agree with some of the defense that Aaron Glenn was calling. And some of these players, I don't want to say it's a lack of talent. I want to say it's a lack of them sticking to their assignments on the field. It just Aiden Hutchinson again, this just syndrome of getting pressure, but he can't get the job done. And I know people want to say that Aiden, he's getting pressure. Well, that's great, but he's not finishing. Will has emphasized this on numerous occasions that, while Aiden is definitely doing the right thing when it comes to trying to get to the quarterback, he's not getting the job done. And that's where that could go to the argument of why we didn't get someone else on the other side of him to give him a hand, because I know he can't do it on his own. I put this at the feet of AG and of the defense. This just overall, I'll be upfront, this is the worst performance defensively I've seen all year long. I'll go that far.
I can somewhat agree with you on all of that. Can you put his question back up one more time? So,
yep.
I don't know if it was our worst defensive showing. I almost say that was the Baltimore Ravens game, but I would say this and then you got the Seahawks game and now this one. I would say that this is probably our second worst game of the season defensively. And to answer the question on the defensive nightmare on AG, look, AG, he has put some amazing game plans together this season. Did he read the Chargers completely wrong? Did he put the Lions in this bend but don't break defense today and not utilize it the right way? Because I felt like that was the problem. Like we again left people wide open, and that seems to be our Achilles heel, is one wide receiver seems to be always open. And I don't understand how that's possible when the team only has one wide receiver. I mean, yeah, they got more, but you know what I'm saying? Like, they've only got one viable threat until somebody else steps up. Now, when you look at what happened today, Allen goes out of the game, and the next ensuing play, Guyton scores a touchdown with a seam route up the middle for 20 yards or something like that? I mean, the completely blown coverage. So something wasn't clicking today. And I don't know what it was. And I won't know more until I watch the all 22. But there was, I think, another question that was in there, like, what would we do about, or how do we make room for somebody in the offseason? Who would we bring in? What was that question?
There
was a question in there that I want to say, here you go. Why didn't Martin play today? And who did the Lions release in the offseason on that D line to bring in help? That was Demigod 313. That was part of his question about Martin. So I think, again, I have to look at the contracts, but I want to say that Buggs is on his final year. Harris is on his final year. Kaminsky, I think, is on his final year. Who else? I think Levi Onwuzurike has 1 year left. I think Benito Jones is in his final year. So I think, to answer the question, and again, don't quote me because I have to go look at the contracts again. I think that there's at least 4 positions opening up in the defensive line. At least. Not even counting the Aquara brothers, because I think that both of them are in their final year. So that could be 5 or 6 positions opening up. So I think just by nature of expiring contract, the Lions are going to need to bring in quite a few people. And that's fine, because when you look at the guys that are producing, it's not really any of them. Right? Josh Pascal's not playing. Onwuzurike's not playing. I mean, Pascal's not playing well. Onwuzurike's really hasn't played much at all since he's been with the Lions. I think that this next draft and this offseason is going to be defensive heavy for once, and it's going to make a lot of people happy. I think it's just going to be a little too late for some of the people that really wanted defense, and we really needed defense. I wasn't high on Jalen Carter. Everybody knows that. I didn't want that problem in the locker room if there was going to be one. And I think Jalen Carter has been nothing but a consummate professional this entire season. We don't know what's going on in that Eagles defensive line room or their locker room. But if hindsight is 2020, I wouldn't give up Gibbs for the world, man. Not a chance. No way. And I wouldn't give up Laporta either, because that's what we got for not taking Jalen Carter. So you got to give some to get some in this league, and it's all about what have you done for me lately? And the Lions are just going to take another step next season and build upon this defense through the draft and find some really good free agents. And I think we'll be just fine. I really do. The poor part about us really starting slow in the third quarter, Andy, is the Chargers drive, right? They go 10 plays, 92 yards. They got picked apart. They couldn't stop Allen. Even though they had one viable receiver the entire game, really. Allen then gets hurt. The ensuing play is what I was talking about. Guyton, gets an 18-yard TD strike, ties up the ball game. At one point through the game, the Chargers lost their tight end, Everett, their wide receiver, Allen, their linebacker, Murray. I think it's Kenneth Murray. And I believe Allen is the only one that came back kind of in a decoy type of role. The Lions should have been able to shut them down, after losing a few of those players, and it just didn't happen.
No,
I highlighted a few things, though. Let me find it here. Lions' third drive. Ball game's tied 31-31. Gibbs got a 14-yard pass. Laporta finally got active for 6 and 19 yards. Brown had a nice 6-yard catch that was crucial. And then that dagger to Brock Wright for 25 yards. And if you remember in the pre-show, I said, man, wouldn't it be nice to get Brock Wright involved in this game somehow?
And we did.
And they did. And it's good to see him finally get some game action and finally get a score on the season. So, all right, what's everybody else got to say in the chat?
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, we've had a few here. Mike Miller, how are we going to cover CeeDee Lamb? And I don't remember now. It was up further in the chat. Someone else asked the same question. Well, the way we're going to cover CeeDee Lamb is to not make the same mistake we made against Keenan Allen. Whether we adjust to do that that's yet to be seen, because I agree, CeeDee Lamb, he's another good receiver like Keenan Allen. I mean, he's that one that Prescott hits. That's Prescott's go-to guy. Those two connect very well, just like Herbert, just like Keenan Allen did. So the way you fix that problem, Mike, they better double cover and absolutely cover him at all costs. Need another end rusher to free up Hutch. Look at the Niner game today with the addition of Young. They stomped the Jaguars. Well, I had a feeling that acquisition of Chase Young was going to do something for that team because, I didn't watch the whole game. I did see a couple of plays where they rushed the Jags. They rushed Trevor Lawrence. And, yeah, they absolutely emasculated Jacksonville today. It was not even a game.
So what did I say the other day about the Jaguars and in how they were ranked, I believe, in the top 5 in people's power rankings?
Yep.
I think it was in my power ranking episode that I said this. I have zero respect for the Jaguars. Look, yeah, they're leading their division, so they're going to be ranked, right? But they had no business in the top 8, or they should have been number 8. It just goes to show that, a 5-3 Niners team went in and stomped them out today. Tells you how good they aren't, because I'll be honest, the Niners are kind of questionable. I know they've got some amazing players, probably some of the scariest names on both sides of the ball, but they have some question marks. And that's what you don't want right now in the league is question marks. And the Lions have a couple themselves too. You go ahead and keep on going with the chat.
Yeah.
If you'd like.
Let me keep going real quick. Demigod 313. Will, I think this might be a little bit of a poke at you, but Jalen Carter bring problems on that football. But I understand.
Yeah, he is. He's bringing some big football problems.
Yes,
look, the Lions made the right choice. They really did. They could have went defense earlier. They didn't have to wait and give a bunch of picks to bring in Martin. They did bring in Brian Branch, which was another perfect pick. But they could have done something. They didn't have to do what they did with Martin. We needed a starter this year, not a project.
Right. Will, I'm going to throw this up real quick for you just to break up the monotony for a second. But Mike Miller says Michigan 10-0. How's Sparty doing?
Oh, I didn't see that one. I think Mike Miller just got booted from the chat.
Did he? Oh, come on. Yeah, Will, I didn't want to do that because we're covering the Lions, but I do love when I see Mike makes the digs at you about the Spartans, so I couldn't resist that one. Sorry.
Oh, it's all right. Yeah, I'm open and honest and transparent about my Spartans too. They suck.
Oh, they're absolutely awful. I'm glad we
so
agree
did
on
U
that.
of M for the last 30 plus years. They haven't been relevant since before 97.
Oh, that's
anyway,
cool. I'm not talking. Just don't. Okay.
So let's talk some NFL standings right now after the 1 and 4 p.m. games are done. Eagles have moved to 8-1. They are the number 1 seed currently in the NFL. The Lions moved to 7-2. And 49ers are 6-3. The Seahawks moved to 6-3. The Vikings are 6-4. Who is scared about these Vikings? I said it the other day that Joshua Dobbs was going to be a problem. And looking at what he did now in the last 2 games, he's a problem. And I hate to talk about
playoffs. Don't talk about playoffs.
But
you kidding me?
It's
Playoffs?
completely necessary to talk about playoffs. And it's completely necessary to be worried about the Vikings right now. So we're not in it to win it until we're out of it. And that could happen at any moment. We're a couple of injuries away, right? Today we are almost an interception away from losing the game.
Yep.
Anything can happen. Any given Sunday. We've got a long season left to go. I know everybody blinked and it's week 10. It feels like we just started this podcast, 10 weeks ago. Was just yesterday is what it feels like. Yeah, I remember in March, I told Andy, I said, don't blink because September's going to be here. And, we're already going to be into the season. We got to get ready for it.
You weren't kidding about that one.
And now we're already into week 10.
Yeah, Will, I got to say, up until Cousins got hurt, I really had no concern about the Vikings. I mean, I always kind of kept them a little on the radar because they're kind of another team we've been problematic with in the past. But overall, I wasn't that concerned. My level of concern has gone up a little bit. And you're right, Josh Dobbs, for him to come in short notice, the way he did from that trade from Arizona, and to come in and win your first 2 games with really no prep, no knowledge of the playbook, everything you want to call it.
He didn't even know their names.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, he knew nothing other than, I'm getting traded to Minnesota. I'm a Viking now. This could be – now, does that mean that they're going to win it out? Does it mean that they're a completely 100% viable threat to the Lions? They're a threat because they're not far behind. Do I still think the Lions are going to take the NFC North? I do. But I think Minnesota now has gone from no issue to they're kind of right on our tail. I think we got to keep an eye on them because we keep winning and they keep winning, and then we have to play them. This could get pretty interesting. It kind of makes me wonder, sometimes we think the NFL could be scripted. I don't want to ever believe that. But I look at now how Minnesota's playing versus how we're playing, and Will, what's the last game of the season that we have to play against? Who's the last team in our schedule?
2 out of 3 is the Vikings. The last 2 out of 3 games, week 16 and 18.
I understand that, but my point is that if there were to be some kind of shootout, to where I don't mean to make it sound this way, but if the stars were to line up to where this is a neck and neck between Minnesota and Detroit, and it takes us to the last game of the season, yikes. Then that'd be the one time during the season that I would be very concerned.
Well, we'll just have more primetime games. And so far, the Lions have proven to put them in primetime because we don't lose. So make it a primetime game and we won't lose. I still think that the opportunity is there for us to wrap it up in week 16. A lot's got to go right for the Lions. They've got to win every game. But that's now the first time that we're going to know if the Lions are going to win the NFC North is week 16. So we got a little bit to wait. The bad and good news today about the rest of the games around the league is the Bears got to win. Packers took a loss. I'm not worried about either of those two teams. I think it's a little bit too late for them, even though last season I would have never said it was too late for the Lions. Right? I was probably one of the only ones when we were 1-6 that I was putting it out there. Look, it's not over. We can do it. We can still make it mathematically. And we can lose every divisional game and still make the playoffs. We almost did. So I guess technically nobody is really still out until I believe next week is when the playoff machine starts and all of the different scenarios will be out there. Then things start to get a little bit more interesting. And I'm going to keep going through it each week. I'll do some videos about it. There was a chat that I just saw right here. Jody Salmon said Dobbs ain't no joke, and having Jefferson and Addison is scary. They need work on their defense. See, here's the funny thing. Dobbs has done this without Jefferson. Wait till he comes back. That's the scary thing. You're right, Jody. So their defense, man, Daniil Hunter, the few plays that I've seen of him today, guy is electric. And I can see why a lot of Lions fans were hoping we were going to go out and try to get him. But I don't know why the Vikings would want to get rid of him. The guy is insanely talented and so quick off the edge with great bend and versatility. I can see why a lot of people would like to see him on the Lions. He looks kind of like almost a Von Miller-esque, just a lot bigger. So back to the rest of the league here. Cowboys 6-3. Cowboys put a whooping on somebody today. Who was it?
Yeah, the Giants. Come on.
49-17. The Commanders took an L, obviously. The Niners won. The Seahawks won. The Rams, I don't think they played today. Lions, of course, won 7-2. Saints lost. Did the Bucks win today?
I'm checking
Bucks,
right now.
Bucks won 20-6.
They won. Yep.
See, so the Bucks are still in this. For the South. On the AFC side, Dolphins are 6-3. And I don't think they played today. I think they had a bye today.
The team, real quick, Will, the teams of the bye week were Kansas City, Rams, Miami, and Philly.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So Chiefs are still 7-2. Chargers, we know, took the L today. Ravens are 7-3. Is their bye week next week?
I'll tell you right now. I'm looking right now, Will. Just bear with me. Baltimore's bye week is actually going to be week 13, yes.
And that's the same week I believe the Vikings have their bye week. So right now, a lot of the things left open in the NFL standings, they're going to start to work themselves out between this week and next week. And then after week 13 is when everything really starts to make more sense and to come into play because everyone's going to be caught up. So the Lions are still a game behind, play-wise. They're a game behind the Vikings, right? The Vikings have already played 10. The Lions played 9. So look, if the Lions were to lose next week, that would be detrimental to the way that this season's going to, shape up for playoffs. I don't see it happening. It's going to be an interesting watch to see how the rest of these teams either come to play or they don't. The Vikings are still in this thing, and that's scaring me a little bit. And we'll talk more about it this week. I won't get into a lot of it tonight. But look, the league's wide open right now. You have 2 teams in about every division that are within about a game of each other. I think the Eagles is the only team that has more than a 2-game lead, over their interdivisional, rival with the Cowboys. Other than that, it's fairly knotted up. So it's still early, but we're glad the Lions got their win today. Does anybody else want to call in before we wrap up the show? We'll take one more caller, 313-312-0348. If you'd like to talk about the Lions today, anybody, feel free to call in.
Let me get just a couple more comments in here, Will.
Yeah, go for it.
We got Blitzbeegs. I'm assuming I pronounced that right. And welcome. Have not seen you here. Welcome in. Sutton has had 2 bad games, the Seattle game being the other one. If you're going to get burned anyway, why not bring some blitzes? Walker needs to go. He watches a wide receiver catch the ball, then tackles him.
Yeah, Walker didn't have a good game today.
No, he did not.
I can't wait to see some of these stats as they start to get loaded up. And that really won't be until tomorrow. But it'll be interesting to see how many targets Sutton versus Jacobs had and what really happened. So
Demigod, hold up. Didn't Vikings finish top 3 in the NFC conference? How the hell they get an easier schedule than the Lions this season?
the Lions had a very tough schedule this year on paper. We had 8 games that were slated against playoff teams from 2022, 2 against the Vikings. So 7 teams, 8 games. And I don't know. I mean, do they really have an easier schedule than the Lions? I don't know that they do. I think the Lions have just taken really good advantage of the opportunities that they've been afforded. When you look at what I love is this, the Lions schedule this season. When you look at it, they got a Thursday game, 10 days off, right? And then they had like another, what was it, a Monday game or something? Was it after the Raiders? They had their bye, right? So 2 weeks off. They've had 2 10-game stretches and then 2 weeks off in the first 9 weeks or 10 weeks. And then they'll have the hardest stretch is always Thanksgiving. I really thought that the NFL would have done the Lions a solid and that whoever plays on Thanksgiving does not play the week before or the week after, preferably the week before. And then you wouldn't play until the week after, right? Every year it seems like the Lions get screwed. So if we would have had our bye week, and forgive me if I'm wrong, but I think you understand what I'm saying. The week before Thanksgiving, I think if you play on Thanksgiving, your bye week should always be the week before Thanksgiving. Because then you're not getting that crunch. I don't think any team should ever have to play a game on 4 days rest. I think that's stupid. There's a way to figure it out. The NFL can schedule these games a lot better. And I don't know why they're not. But then again, we can't be greedy because we've been given about 4 weeks off already this season in the first 10 weeks, it seems like, between games.
We have gotten a lot of rest.
We've gotten, 2 mini buys and a buy already. And I really think, and then you look at where we're traveling and how often we're traveling, and it's really helped the Lions stay healthy and get ready for these games. So from a travel perspective, from a, mini buy perspective, the Lions have had a pretty easy schedule.
Yeah, and actually, Will, just to kind of touch on the point about the Thursday games, I've never liked them, and I've got 2 reasons why. You set the teams up that are playing the games for more injury because, like you said, they've only got 3 days in between. And this is a completely fan-biased opinion on my part, but it seems like most of the Thursday night games are toilet bowls. They're not very good games. I mean,
they haven't been.
They haven't been. I mean, and yes, this is going to sound biased, but the Detroit-Kansas City game, the first game of the year.
That was a good game.
That was a great game. But past that, there's really no, and Detroit-Green Bay, say that one too. But other than those, and maybe like, say, a Thanksgiving game, I just never really saw the appeal. I rarely watch the Thursday night games unless the Lions are playing. That's it.
So here's something I want to go over real quick before we start to wrap up the show, and that's in my pregame show, or in our pregame show, one of the keys I put was the Chargers defense. I know everyone is worried about Bosa and Mac, but here's the truth. The Chargers ranked 29th overall with the worst rated passing defense, allowing 286 yards a game. They allowed a 99.35% QB rating and a 68.2% completion rate. They are more dominant in the run game, where they rank 6th behind, the Lions at 2. And they allowed 89.8 yards per game. while the last 2 wins came against the Bears, Tyson Bagent and Jets, Zach Wilson, I didn't see where the Chargers were going to have, a good game against this Lions offense, right? I didn't think they were going to be able to stop our passing game. So I wanted to look at that real quick. 286 yards a game is what they were allowing. Lions put up 333. They allowed a 68.2% completion rate. I don't think the Lions quite did that because 23 of 33. Well, we just beat that 69.7%. So Goff beat, their average, which that's a pretty bad average to have as a defense. So they were about par for the course, right? And Goff took advantage of it. The biggest weaknesses that I put down for the Chargers was their secondary, and that came true today. I expected more out of Mack and Bosa, the tape will tell us, when we watch it. But I did not see them have any dominance in this game at all. And that's how this Lions team was able to stay as clean as they were. All right, let's get to a few more chats, Andy, and then we're going to start wrapping up the show for tonight.
All right, I got Myers Farm. Hey, Myers, one of our longtime followers and listeners. Did Sutton have a bad day, or was he picked on by the refs? Well, let me answer this one, Will, because I think I spoke to you about it briefly. There was 2 PI calls on Sutton. One of them was the long bomb that Herbert threw to, I can't remember now, actually. I think it's also the player number 1 on the Chargers. Please, I apologize. I can't remember his name offhand. That one was a pretty obvious pass interference. As they were running, Cam Sutton reached out, gave him a tug. It was a slight tug, but it was enough that could have interrupted the route. Now, that one I agreed with. The pass interference that was in the end zone, though, that one to me, it looks like his arm was wrapped around the receiver, but it looked like it was like an incidental wraparound. Like it almost looks like body-wise, Sutton didn't actually look to intentionally grab the receiver. Unfortunately, I know the way PIs are called. A ref's going to see that. It's going to be called every time. I didn't agree with it. So all in all, I wouldn't say Sutton was picked on. I agree. He did not have a good game today. He literally just did not have a good game. It was a really bad game for Sutton. Blitzspeak, Sutton got burned every other down. Agree. There's no excuse for the way he played. Jody Salmon, Jerry Jacobs leads Lions in penalties and tied for most DPI in the league. That's part of the problem on defense. Well, Will, what did I say about Jerry Jacobs? Sometimes he gives me hope that he's actually going to be a decent player. Then he has games like today. And I don't have a lot of – he's one of those players where if we released him at the end of this year and moved on, I don't think a lot of us would lose any sleep over it.
So I didn't get a chance to see the replay on the Cam Sutton interference call in the end zone. And I don't know if this is true or not, but I don't know if you can make contact with a receiver in the end zone when it's goal line, goal to goal, even if it's under 5 yards. I don't know that you can make any contact with the receiver in the end zone.
No, you can. You can.
Are you positive on that?
All right, I'm 99% positive on it.
I know that there's a 5 yard rule. You're right, but I don't know if that extends into the end zone. Right? Beyond 5 yards, you can't touch them. But within 5 yards, you can. So my question is, where did the contact happen? And was it pass interference? Was it illegal contact? Was it holding? I don't remember the exact call. If anybody can remember, put it in the chat. Let us know. And Lauren McQuaig says Chargers had 32 sacks going into this game. Neither team had a sack. Yeah, that's true. That was one of the biggest keys to the game today was they kept Goff clean, and vice versa. The Lions allowed Herbert to stay clean, which has been a problem this season. We get sacks in bunches against garbage quarterbacks and garbage offensive lines. We're not getting the plays against good quarterbacks that can move, or halfway decent offensive lines. It's been my biggest knock on, and I know you guys seem like I pick on Aiden Hutchinson, but I only use him as the reference because everybody uses him as the reference. So in his rookie season, when he got his sacks, who were they against? Go look at the offensive rankings for those games. They were terrible. Go look at the quarterback rankings for those games and what quarterbacks they were. They were terrible, majority of them, other than Aaron Rodgers, but let's call that what it is. Aaron Rodgers is older than me, I think.
No, he's not.
It's got to be. He looks older than me.
Okay. You'd like to think so, buddy.
What is he? How old is he? 40?
He's 39, dude.
He's 39? Well, I'm 39.
Oh, I forgot. I'm older than you. Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
I'll let you have fun with that. Hey, let me get another comment in here on that note.
Yeah, that's right. So I guess the point that I'm trying to make is when I look at how well our defense has played in certain games, you have to look at the totality of all, everything involved. The offensive rank, the O-line rank, the type of quarterback, the running back, everything. You got to look at everything as a whole. And are we able to produce against the better teams, the better quarterbacks, the better offensive lines, or are we struggling? And if the answer is we're struggling, but we're producing against the crap teams, that's a problem because you guys know as well as I do, what are we going to face in the playoffs? Top 10, top 10, yeah. Top 10, top 10, everything. There's usually never a team in the playoffs, let alone the Super Bowl, that isn't a top 10 offense, top 10 defense, top 15, probably at the worst. Oftentimes you'll see a top 5 offense and a top 15 defense or vice versa in the playoffs. But as you move throughout, the championship rounds, you're talking top 10 all the way around, if not better. The Lions are going to go up against some pretty good teams at the, in the playoffs, and they have to be able to win those battles. Does that mean that we are missing somebody? We need that extra push. We got to bring somebody in. We have to scheme different. We have to, dial up more blitzes, whatever the case may be. It's not working right now. And, we beat up a bad Raiders team, but that was also a game that we could have lost. When you look at how it started, kicking field goals, not able to finish, offense sputtered out. When our offense is having a bad day, our defense has to have a great day. And the other way around, they have to be able to play complementary football, but they also have to be able to pick each other up too. And we're not seeing that. We're seeing total letdown sometimes on both sides of the ball. Thankfully, we haven't seen much of that this season, but that's been the history for the Lions. We'll talk about the only thing that matters here, and that's the last 3 seasons. Because under Dan Campbell and his, leadership and his coaching staff and his players, the wins and losses are what matter now and how they play now. I don't care about what happened with Matt Patricia. I don't care about what happened before that with Jim Caldwell, Bobby Ross, Marty Morningwig, Steve Mariucci. I don't care. What matters is now. And if we see a trend and we still have the same defensive coordinator and the same issues, then I think people are going to start screaming again that AG is the problem. Going back to what Demagogue 313 said early in the chat today. And now I'm finally kind of answering your question. So I think that AG schemes up things very well against bad teams. Does he have it in him to scheme things very well against good teams or even great teams? That's the question that needs to be answered. And that's the part that needs to get figured out. Because we don't have the players right now to not have a good scheme or a good game plan. We're still missing some pieces. We have a bunch of good guys. We have a couple great guys. We have maybe one elite guy on the defense. We need 2 or 3 elite guys on this defense to go the next step. And I'll leave it at that.
Let's get a few more comments in here because I know we're wrapping up soon. Lauren McQuaig. And again, I remember you were in on Friday, so I apologize if I'm butchering your last name. I think our offense is ready for a Super Bowl run. Defense, not so much. I think we need a couple pieces, edge and corner. CJ, GJ, and Houston should help, but we should call JPP, see if he's game ready. I 100% agree. I'd be down, like Will asked me earlier. I'd be willing to take Sue or Jason Pierre-Paul. That would be some big help right now. This defense, it really needs help. Shows flashes of doing well. There have been some games this year where they've looked amazing. The run stop, everything. It's just not consistent enough for me. That's been my biggest issue.
All right, we got a call coming in. This is going to be our last call.
Right.
Give me just a second, Andy.
Gotcha. Richard Fleerman, JPP. Again, I like JPP. He was great with the Giants. He was great with, I believe it was Tampa Bay, if my memory serves me. I should know that, but I believe he was really good Tampa Bay. Lion Syndicate, phone lines. Hi, Lion Syndicate. Phone lines are open, buddy. We're actually taking just one more call for the night. Myers Farm was keeping Monty out for series or keep him healthy. Gibbs can do his thing, or both. I think it depends on the application. I've actually always said since the season started, I thought Montgomery was going to be our power back, short yardage, first down, get in the end zone running back, and Gibbs was going to be our everything running back. As far as I'm concerned, I think it's pretty even the way they've been. Monty's definitely gotten a lot more time this year. There's no doubt about it. But I think all in all, to answer that question, I hope I'm answering it correctly, Myers Farm, is that I think it's kind of you keep one or the other out for. I think it becomes situational at that point. Do you keep Gibbs in for a certain play and let Monty stay out for that play, and vice versa? So that's how I would answer that question.
All right, Andy, you ready for me?
I'm ready for you, buddy. Go for it.
All right, I got a caller on the line, and he's a good one, and his name is Derek from Lion Syndicate. You're live with
Derek.
Lions.
What's up, fellas? How we doing?
We're doing great, Derek. How you been, man? Long time no talk. It's been about 24
Not bad.
hours.
Yeah. Yeah. Shout out to Andy. Shout out to Will. Just wrapped up the show, man. I didn't even know you were on. I had to call. It's good to be on like the caller side, and I had to host the show. But I just got to say this. Lions got to win. Very important. Had to get it done. Everybody's talking about firing Aaron Glenn, but I heard the last segment as before you took this call about saying, do we have the personnel? And the answer is no. We don't have the personnel. And we have to work with what we have. And that's why I was so livid at the trade deadline about getting somebody on this team that's going to get to the quarterback. Now we're playing Justin Herbert. Should have been our quarterback. Can't cry over spilled milk. Dude's a stud. He's a stud. Just got the wrong coach. Okay, get rid of the ball, can scramble, everything you want, tall, lanky, strong, everything you want in a quarterback. But today, the flaws were appearing. There was no defense. Let me tell you something, Will. There was 533 yards by the Detroit Lions. There was 421 yards by the Chargers. That is a total of 954 yards.
Wow.
In 900, so there was no defense on either side. There was one punt this entire game. You know what this game came down to? Turnover-free football by our Detroit Lions.
Yep.
Jared Goff, flawless game. Jahmyr Gibbs, Jamison Williams got involved, the whole thing. But the fact of the matter is this, man. Aaron Glenn has to work with what he has, made no adjustments in the second half, and here we are. But this is when you can see the change, guys. We came out on winning side of this. We never do that. And you were saying something about Matt Patricia, Jim Caldwell, SOL. Those days are over. These are the brand new Lions, and they get stuff done. Got to see that defense change, though, man. Got to get to the quarterback. There's no more talking. There's no more ifs, ands, and buts.
Let me ask you a question. So the part of my question to everybody else, too, was we're scheming up good plays and having good games against marginal offensive lines in decent quarterbacks. Will go out and have great games. Aiden Hutchinson will go get 3 or 2 sacks. But then you play a top 10 offensive line, a top 10 quarterback, and it's a damn shootout. And you're right. These are the games we normally lose. We won it today, thankfully. And you're right. Turnover-free football game won this game. But the other key was Goff didn't get sacked. And if he gets sacked and we lose yardage, when we're in a third and long at that point, this game changes. So my question, Derek, is why are we able to scheme up against some of these marginally good teams, why can't we apply that same pressure and that same type of scheme against the good teams? Because to me, it's a totally different scheme that we're looking at. And I think that for me, that's part of the problem. Like he's changing it too much as opposed to sticking with what's been working.
You know what, bro? That's a question that AG has to answer. I don't know. I have no idea. I don't. I mean, I can't, because you're right. If he's, but it's apparent though that something needs to change, guys. Something needs to change. We don't have the personnel, so that means it falls on AG, and maybe he does need to continue with that stuff. He needs to go with what's working, and that's the problem with both on the offensive side of the ball. Every time the Lions had another abysmal third quarter, which is almost led to the death of this, of this victory today. So I can't answer that, man. I don't know why he does that stuff, but I tell you what, it's obvious that something needs to change. Brad Holmes has to make something happen. The refs tried to give it away, but we overcame that. I mean, a gutsy 4th and 2 call.
Wow.
That great throw. Sam Laporta was a ghost for the first 3 quarters. Then he steps up big, man. What a win. And I'm one of the guys that's criticizing the win. I'm criticizing we got it. That's what matters. But at the same time, when we go against these juggernauts, this was I don't know if you agree with this, and Andy, but this, to me, was the most explosive offense that we played this season. And they were down 2 of their big guys. Keenan Allen had what? Almost 200 yards?
175.
He had to have almost 250.
175.
175.
And 2 TDs.
175. Austin Eckler, that's what I'm saying. It was the Keenan Allen show. He had 40 fantasy points, so I hope somebody had him on their fantasy team. But this was the most explosive offense we played, and we took them down to the wire. So I'm happy, but I got some criticism to do, man, because when we go up against the likes of the Philadelphia Eagles and the likes of those high-powered offenses, are we going to be able to step up and get a stop? The Chargers defense is terrible, by the way. That's why we're in this position. So it was 2 bad defenses for today, because the Lions were ranked 9th going into today, but they won't be top 10 after this. That's for sure. So
nope.
I like the win. I'm happy. 7-2, a half game back, really, a game back of the Philadelphia Eagles. We got a real chance, man, to be number 1 after next week. So I'm happy. Now we got to go stomp the Bears, whether it's Tyson or Justin, and get this W, man. But appreciate you. Will, it feels good to be on this side, brother, talking, because I don't get to make the call.
So I want to say one more thing and maybe get your reaction from it, because you just brought up something that I think is critical. The biggest point that I think you're making right now is when we go up against the juggernauts, it doesn't matter that both teams are scoring, right? It's just what team is going to stop the other team first. And I'm going to tell you right now that against that Eagles defense, they're going to get a stop against our Lions. And if it's not them stopping us, it's us stopping ourselves, because that's just what the Lions have shown us to do this, that they're going to do this season. They're going to get a turnover at some point, whether it's a fumble or an interception, but we're not creating the turnovers. So we're going to get stopped against the Eagles at least once. We can't win a shootout against a team like the Eagles. We narrowly did against the Chargers. We should have against the Seahawks. But against a top team like that in the playoffs, we need our defense to step up. So I guess to piggyback off what you're saying is we have to somehow find a 3 and out sooner in the game. And definitely at the end of the game, our defense has to be able to step up.
I agree.
And
I agree 100%, man. But I'm going to let you get back to the show.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it, D.
Well, look, there's nobody out there. Somebody mentioned Melvin Ingram. Somebody mentioned, JPP. Yep. I mean, the pickings are slim, guys. And Brad blew his opportunity at the trade deadline, and that's going to haunt us for the rest of the year. So it's going to take something is going to happen. Yeah. And to go back to your point, the scheme, something's got to happen, fellas. But appreciate you for taking my call, man.
All right, D. Take care, man.
Take care, Derek.
All right.
See ya.
Yep.
So I think what he's trying to say is,
hello, you play to win the game.
And that means Brad Holmes must do the right thing, was he should have brought somebody in during the trade deadline. I think that this becomes I don't know, is it an ego thing? Is it becoming an ego thing with Brad Holmes where he's like, I'm picking the right guys. I'm bringing the right guys in. I'm giving you a good team. You should be able to win with this team that I'm building you. And I'm not criticizing Brad Holmes at all. I'm just wondering at what point does it become an ego thing to where he thinks that we have enough. They just need more time. They need better coaching. They need, more training, whatever. Because I'll tell you right now, Broderick Martin was not the right guy. He was not the right guy to help out our team this season. And I'm saying that now. I may not say that later if he comes in and actually shows us something. But one game, one half, one quarter, 3 plays is not enough. It has to be done with consistency game in and game out. Flashy players only help, once in a while. We need consistency. So I'm with Derek, man. I'm all in bed in this. We should have done something at the trade deadline. We thought we were. We went offense versus defense, and that's great. We didn't need DPJ today. I can only imagine what he's going to be able to give us. Yep. And another interesting point that Derek made today was this was potentially the most powerful offense we've seen, yet they were missing some of their biggest players. And some of their biggest players went out during the game. So I can only imagine what they're going to be like next season. The Chargers are going to be insane. They're building something right over there. All right, Andy, we're going to be wrapping up the show. What else do you want to get off your chest? And what do you got in the chat? Let's do a few more.
All right. I just got, we'll go, Richard Fleerman. Laporta was clutch. He absolutely was. In fact, that was the play that I almost had a heart attack over, but we got it. It was a great way to finish that game off and set up for the field goal. Listening ear, go 7-1 rest of the way. Well, 7-1, that would bring us to 14-3, and that loss to the Cowboys that I'm holding true to my prediction of the way we're going to end our season. Richard, again, if Eckler ran on us, then Swift is going to destroy the field against us. Yeah, that's an interesting point because –
yeah, I don't think so.
You don't think so?
Eckler only got 48 yards today, I think.
He did, but I could see what Richard's saying.
He had 67 yards today.
Right, but I could see – you got to figure – I think Swift is a better running back than Eckler. So if our defense allowed Eckler – oh, I do. I absolutely do. But I'm saying that I think if Eckler was able to run the way he did against us with this defense that couldn't stop a beach ball, then I can only imagine, to what Richard's saying, what Swift's going to do to us if we have to play them. Swift will – and the other thing, Swift knows our defense too, so he'll rip through us.
Swift is going to be hurt.
He hasn't gotten hurt so far this year yet, buddy.
He's going to be hurt. Don't worry.
Well, I hope you're right. And actually, I have one more point I'd like to bring up, Will, before we go for the night. It kind of goes along with what you said about Brad Holmes' ego. It could be a combination of his ego, and the only other thing is it's the culture thing. I love that our culture's changed. I love what Holmes and Campbell are doing. I love all of it. But this emphasis that we only want to take guys that fit our culture, they're going to have to break from that here and there. They're going to have to bend. Because personally, if we have a chance to get like a good run stopper or an edge rusher or another wide receiver, and they happen to be, maybe they're like an OBJ, kind of whatever. Maybe they have some issues with on the field and off the field, but if they're able to get the job done for any specific amount of time that we need them, I think you have to just take the player. And then at the end of the season, if it didn't work out and it's not a good fit and the Lions weren't able to utilize him the way they should have, then you get rid of him.
So you're not talking a draft pick.
No. I'm saying whether it's a draft pick or whether it's a free agent or whether it's taking someone off waivers, what I'm saying is that they're emphasizing this thing on culture. So right. If it's whether it's the draft or whether it was his lack of picking up anybody off for defense at the trade deadline, it seems like we keep hearing about, well, we want guys that are going to fit in with what we're trying to do. I'm not against that, but I'm going to be against it if we're going to consistently keep falling back on it, meaning that sometimes we might have to take a player, maybe he doesn't fit the culture, but he can play and get the job done for us. That's where the ego could be getting in the way. So I actually agree with you on that point, Will.
Well, I hope that's not the case. I mean, I hope it's not an ego thing. You know,
I hope not either.
As far as the culture thing goes, I mean, I would hope that they don't, take somebody in the draft, and if they've got issues, they get rid of them the next season, because draft picks are worth a lot. You know, they're worth a lot not only to the team's ability to get better, but you're talking longevity. 3, 4, 5 seasons that you're trying to get out of that high, commodity draft pick that you only get 7 of every year if you're lucky. All right, so looking ahead, the Lions are taking on the Bears at home next weekend at 1 p.m. And then the Packers come knocking on Ford Field. Both of them,
No respect.
I got no respect for. They will be wins. And then the Lions take on the Saints. We saw what happened to the Saints today, and they're just not a good football team. Don't know if Derek Carr will be back. I don't even know the full extent of his injury, but he did leave the game today on a cart. I don't know if he came back. So then the Lions take on the Bears again. So our next 4 games, we've got 3 divisional games. Then we take on the Broncos. Broncos come home to Ford Field. And then the Lions go away to the Vikings. And then the Lions go away to Dallas. And then we finish home at Ford Field to take on the Vikings. And as it sits right now, week 16 is looking like the end-all be-all to whether the Lions are able to rest players in week 17 and 18. And we can wrap up the division week 16. I believe it's only going to take one more loss by the Vikings for us to do that. Don't quote me, but I'll do a video on it probably tomorrow and wrap everything up in a nice little bow from today. And as always, I appreciate everyone. Look, if you guys are just joining us for the first time, this is just our post-game reaction. And we started doing the live show back in March of this year. And it started out as more of a podcast, and we'll pick more, up on that as the season goes, or after the season, we'll start picking up the podcast again. But we're going to be doing a lot of great things, a lot of new content, a lot of different types of content 365 days a year is our goal. And we're looking for some players to come in and join us, whether it's a different team, whether it's a different sport. If you want to write, whatever you'd like to do, you can contact us at info@rockedonpodcastnetwork.com. Again, that's info@rockedonpodcastnetwork.com. Drop us an email and tell us what you'd like to do, and we will figure out how to get it done. If you'd like to join the show, live on air, if you'd like to join the show in the show, feel free to drop us a line. We'd be more than happy to get you guys in. We're always looking for new ways to develop new content. But most importantly, check below. If you guys haven't subscribed, come on in, join us, come along for the ride. We're having a great season, both as a live show, podcast content, and these Detroit Lions, man, they're awesome. We're doing a great job on all fronts right now. It's definitely different. It's a different feeling. So Andy, go ahead and bring us out here. Let's wrap up the show with your final thoughts on the Detroit Lions today and what we're looking forward to the rest of the season.
Well, as long as the offense keeps playing the way they did, protect Goff. Goff played a flawless game. The offense played amazing, neutralizing key players. Running game was beyond amazing. Amon-Ra St. Brown had another one of his great 100-yard games with a touchdown. The defense got to get it cleaned up, Will. That is still going forward. And tell you the truth, I don't care who we're playing. Going forward, the defense is going to be a big question mark and make me nervous. All in all, I'm happy with our team. I'm glad we're 7-2. I'm glad we've come out ahead. I'm very happy with this. I think all of those Lions fans have been waiting for this for a long time. So those are my thoughts on Detroit today. We came out with a win, albeit by 3 points and some sloppy defense, but we came away with the win. We're 7-2. I still think we're looking good, and I'm excited to see how the rest of the season is going to play out.
Well, you heard it from Andy, and you've always heard it from Will. Look, man, I'm riding high on these Detroit Lions. I think that we're going to win out. I think there's one potential loss in there, but I'm going to stick with it. I think that loss only happens now for resting players, or if, for some reason we succumb to injury, which I hope it doesn't happen. We've been let down by a few players this season, but today, man, what a wonderful win. Another glorious W for the Detroit Lions and the One Pride Nation. So until next time, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your evening with some Sunday night football. Go One Pride. Go Detroit Lions.
One Pride.
Peace out. We'll see you later.
Wants to throw it to Short. He caught it. He's going to first down. Oh, the big man dives down the 31-yard line. Oh, that is beautiful. Fields looking pressured, hit from behind, take it down. Aiden Hutchinson got him.
No respect.
So, you know, we look like we're ready. This is day one.
No respect.